my fellow YouTube watching Americans. I'm back to start segment 3 of the Bombshell revelation about what President Trump has been trying so hard to secretly hide away from all of us regarding what he has accomplished in the, or what he failed to accomplish in the Singapore summit, and also regarding his plan and preparation for the second U.S. North Korea Denuclearization summit that he announced to be scheduled to be held in Hanoi, Vietnam, on February 27th and 28th, which is this month. End of this month, which is only less than a week away from today. But before I move on to new pieces of revelation, I want to go back to the previous second segment, and I want to insert a disclaimer, another disclaimer about what was presented in that segment before I move on to our new pieces of information. The most of the what was presented in segment number 2 was based on the what I heard through the highly speculated rumor that I heard and I ran across that I know is not verified to be a pure fact yet. But because it was very widely speculated, and it was re-shared from mouth to mouth throughout the Korean Peninsula and in Japan. That's why that's how I came up with that story. Okay, so I want you to remember that disclaimer. I want to insert right at this point in my revelation. Let me start moving on to new information by letting you know the true identity of South Korean President Moon Jae-In. He came into power as President of South Korea when former President of Korea, Park Geun-hye, was unfairly impeached in the court of media's and people's crooked and distorted opinions, rather than in the court of law of the land of Korea. And he got elected president in an election quickly following the impeachment of his immediate predecessor. Let me talk about how the election was run. The presidential election he won was, of course, heavily tainted with multiple incidents of election frauds committed by the then candidate Moon Jae-in's supporters, almost all of whom had deep legacy of their youth that included belonging to and being members of pro-North Korea Communist Youth Party, who strictly followed and almost worshipped the communistic ideology called Ju-che-sa-sam, coined by Kim Il-sung, the grandfather of Kim Jong-un, who was father of Kim Jong-il. So it was coined by Kim Il-sung, the grandfather of Kim Jong-un, as North Korea's only one and absolute law that has dictated every thought and every deed of its enslaved and suffering people for many years since the liberation of Korea from Japan's occupation in 1945, the year Japanese emperor surrendered to the U.S. after the nuclear bombing of its two cities, Hiroshima and Nagasaki, by the U.S. military power, just before the end of the World War II. The entire presidential election and campaigns that preceded the election were also illegally distorted and adversely manipulated. When the then candidate Moon Jae-in's campaign manager and his chief of staff during campaign secretly hired a number of highly skilled computer hackers to set up a troll farm to hack into Korea's most prominent social media network system called Naver.com, and to implement an illegal computer program called Macro to automatically generate massive amount of trolls and pump out those trolls into the South Korea's most prominent social media network system. Almost 100 million trolls were generated and uploaded onto the prominent social media network in Korea by those trolls. Well, trolls is the word that millennials might easily understand. Well, it wasn't. It was kind of like a new word to me. But one of my staff members highly taught me the meaning of that word. Troll means it's a negative comments generated to assassinate the characters of one's competitors in political campaigns. So Moon Jae-in hired a whole bunch of computer hackers to set up a troll farm and generated and pumped out more than 100 million trolls about Moon Jae-in's competitors in the campaign that insulted characters of his competitors and negative and fake and false rumors against Moon Jae-in's competitors, which eventually totally destroyed their computability and chance of winning the presidential election by completely assassinating Moon's competitors' characters online. It was a total character assassination to eliminate his competitors, even long before the election. As soon as he came into power, after being elected through the heavily tainted election, he quickly began to unleash his obviously pro-China, heavily anti-US policies, including anti-US, including summoning after summoning anti-US protests and street demonstrations and bringing out fascist-like anti-US protesters out to the streets and onto public rally grounds. in the center of Seoul, the capital city of South Korea. To protest against implementation and installation of the U.S. THAAD anti-missile defense system. THAAD means Terminal High Altitude Area Defense Anti-Missile System. In South Korea, just because China feared, Xi Jinping of China feared it might be used to surveil the southeastern portion of their own land, immediately adjacent to neighboring North Korea. By encouraging the mob of fascist-like anti-U.S. protesters to shred and burn the U.S. flags and Trump effigies, and to throw improvised patrol bombs, also known as Molotov cocktail glass bottle bombs at the U.S. military personnel's transportation vehicles and the U.S. military delivering trucks, delivering daily necessity foods for use by the U.S. troops who are stationed in the U.S. bases throughout the Korean Peninsula in the South Korea. The protesters were throwing bombs, the Molotov cocktail glass bottle bombs at the U.S. transportation vehicles and delivery trucks to block and harass the U.S. Military personnel as they were trying to enter the U.S. military base in Seongju, a city in South Korea where the THAAD anti-missile defense system was deployed to and installed, and now fully operational today. To defend South Koreans and U.S. military service members and the UN peacekeeping force and their family members from possible surprise missile attacks by North Korean big fat ugly pig.